Good morning, traders. All right, listen up. Wall Street doesn't want you to see this, but I got 3 setups going into next week that are my highest conviction plays, plus 2 bonus setups. So you're going to want to stick around all the way to the end. But before we do that, just want to recap last week. Had an unbelievable profitable week. We had $14,000 in net realized profit in just 4 days. Why? Because Monday was a holiday. Trade win rate, 74%. Absolutely crush it. I suspect and anticipate we're going to do the exact same thing this week. So let's jump right in. All right. So the first one is Robinhood. I think this is going to get faded, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm not buying it one bit. We had the savior last week. We were flushing down to lows of $96. And then what did they do at the end of the day? They saved it. They kept it alive, but I don't think for long. I think on the heels of the S&P inclusion, I think this is going to pop on Monday. We're going to gap up. We're going to open higher, and I think it's going to get faded. And let me show you why. So intraday on the stock, check this out. We had massive distribution. Wall Street dumped all day long, all the way to about 10 o'clock my time in the morning. I'm on Pacific. But this, my friends, this is distribution. Then it got saved. Why? Probably because they knew S&P 500 inclusion, it was going to rip higher in the after hours. That's exactly what it did. So, like I said, I anticipate gap up on Monday, and it's going to get faded. It's going to get sold into, and that's what the smart money's doing, in my opinion. Wall Street doesn't do these types of things and distribute or dump their shares on the market like this if they don't think lower prices are coming. So, I'm fading the crowd. I'm going against the herd, and I think, again, this is going to be faded next week. Now, could it bounce around a little bit? Yes, but by the end of the week, I think we're going lower. I have us penciled in to go over time. Now, this is not next week. Over time to $66. Test that 150-day moving average. But here are my price targets. So the first one almost hit on Friday. It was $94.10. So we almost got there. Again, like I said, they rescued it, but again, I think it's going lower. Ultimately, I see this ultimately going down to $82 in the short term, where I then think it's going to get a bounce, and then I think eventually we will fade down to that 150-day moving average, which I might add will be an unbelievable buying opportunity, probably even close this gap over at $67. But guys, that's going to take some time. Next week, though, I think it's a perfect play to the downside. I'm short. Going into next week, I'm going to add on the gap up, and I like it to the downside. All right, next one. Second top highest conviction pick is none other than Rocket Labs. Ticker symbol is RKLB. Here's why. So we've been in this massive bull flag, essentially. Massive move up, broke this previous high, back tested this previous high, moved even higher, has been consolidating in a couple different ways. So the first way to look at it, I'm going to take this one off, and I'm going to show you just price action over the last several months, because this is a precedent to kind of what's coming and moving forward, and it's very sequenced if you look at it in this lens. So you can see we're in this descending wedge. What did we do? We broke out, we back tested it, consolidated, back tested it a second time down here at this wick low, essentially a bear trap off this other resistance, which I'm going to draw back in there, right? So came back in and then had put in that pivot low, then essentially rallied up, wasn't ready to break out, consolidated in a bull flag, then it got faded all the way down to back tested a second time, and then it back tested it a third time, which I absolutely love. And it exhibited a relative strength on a weekday, right? Friday last week was a weekday. What did Rocket Labs do? Rocket Labs rallied. So this one, my friends, I really like going into next week. I think we have continued move to the upside. How high could it go? Well, let's look at that. We could clearly see, this is going to give you, this midline is going to give you some resistance, and then ultimately, these pivot top or local highs right there. So I don't know that it gets all the way to $50 next week, because we might have some market volatility to the downside, but I do see this name going higher. I think you could play it at least to this midline here at about $47, give you, roughly probably about 5% on the move. So I like Rocket Lab, love the setup, love the relative strength, love the RSI. It's all good. Okay, next one is, and the third most highest conviction pick is Tempus AI. let me show you kind of what we're in here. So on the larger time frames, we're in this triangle. Broke out of this triangle, broke through these levels, and we are in this bullish consolidation here, okay? Now, what's important here is a few things. We have this rising parallel, which, by the way, again, relative strength on Friday. We had a up move and kind of this doji or, kind of look, but it closed to the upside and it closed above the median line. I like that. I also like the fact that it's tested this moving average cloud, the long term, so the 9 and the 21. I love when it exhibits this type of action. We have increasing buy volume, very, very, very little sell volume, and expanding volume here. RSI is pointing up. I think this one moves higher. That's why it is my third highest conviction play into next week. Regardless of what the market does, I think this one's going higher. I think this one ultimately wants to test $91 and potentially even go higher from that. Again, not going to happen next week, but I do like a move up. Probably squeeze for, I think we get 5 to 8% out of this play. And yeah, that's Tempus AI. Okay, we got 2 bonus bangers in addition to the top 3. The first one is none other than Tesla. Why did it not make the top 3? I'm going to tell you. So here's kind of what I'm seeing. We're in these 2 different triangles. It's extremely bullish in the sense that it's holding key levels the entire time. We had this move down, then we had this flagpole, this second bullish consolidation. And what I don't like and why it didn't make the top 3 is because it didn't close at the highs. It faded down back into it. So we could get some, movement, price movement to open the week, maybe a little lower, back test this moving average cloud, or we could just gap up and go. But either way, I think we're in for some movement to the upside. We might do something like this early in the week and then kind of break out towards the end of the week, get that little consolidation. Or, like I said, we could gap up, maybe back test like this and go higher. So either of these scenarios are possible, or we can even open lower and then just put in a nice move to the upside. But either way, this is setting up for a move. You can see we've had some expanding volume. Friday's volume was really good. It was one of the higher candles in the last basically month. So that gives me confidence. RSI is pointing up, also gives me confidence. I do think this is going higher. Might consolidate, but yeah, I think you could take this as the 4th best play for the week. And then the final highest conviction play is MicroStrategies, and here's why. So we've been inside this triangle. We broke out of it, back tested it, then went higher, was not ready, came back inside of it, put in this kind of bear flag, got sold down to the bottom, kissed it. Let me move this up so it's precise. And you can see this, look. So got the first touch point, second touch point, and then the third touch point has been 2 hammer candles, right? So that looks super bullish. Also exhibited relative strength on Friday in a down market. It's going up. Now in the after hours, I will show you this. It did sell down because they were potentially had the opportunity to get into the S&P 500 like Robinhood. It was not announced that they would, so it sold down. So I just think that's post-market reaction to that news. But overall, Bitcoin looks pretty good going into next week. So obviously MSTR is a proxy for that. So let's look at Bitcoin real quick, and I'll show you kind of what it's doing over the weekend. Obviously, we're putting in this bull kind of move right now. We have this bull flag. The way I see it is it's a up move, kind of bullish consolidation. I do think this can go higher into next week. This is a supply zone. It was a demand zone, and now it turned to a supply zone. Wasn't ready to bust there, but I do think going into next week, especially if the market has some volatility, I actually see this kind of being as a safe play as a hedge. I think some money out of tech potentially can move into Bitcoin as a potential relative hedge. I see, Nvidia going down next week. I see an AMD going down next week, and I see some struggles and some weakness in the semiconductors, and that money might find its way into Bitcoin. Just a theory, just a thought, but yeah, that's kind of my thesis on that. So I like MSTR going into next week. So let's just go through the total 5. We have Hood to the downside. We have Rocket Labs to the upside. We have Tempus to the upside. And we have Tesla to the upside. And lastly, we have MSTR to the upside. So that's what I like, guys. If you guys like this technical analysis and you think there's value in it, please do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed, and comment below. I want to know what you guys think. Are you short the market? Are you long the market? Do you like these names? Tell me what you guys are doing, and let's all make a lot of money this week. Take care, and God bless. Bye.